Good afternoon, everybody. As usual, we'll just wait for everybody to log on. It's only just the hour now. There's a good number of you joining today. Just let you all arrive. If you don't manage to watch the whole of the webinar today, everyone will be sent a recording of this session. So don't worry if you need to drop out at any point, but thank you for attending today. We will be doing kind of a run through of various important information about the event, GEM 2020. Someone you'll know very well, Magdalena, she is in the questions function here. So if you have any questions about what I'm saying or anything else that I'm not covering, then please drop it in there. She'll either answer directly or we'll cover it at the end of the session. But now there's a good number of you, let me start. There's just sharing my presentation. Here we go. So this is all about GEM 2020 happening on the 30th of October this year. Just in this webinar today, we'll do an overview of the day, making your appointments, taking a tour of the platforms, and quite importantly for this year's edition is testing your system if you haven't already joined us on one of the ETOA online events. There's just a few things to do ahead of the day just to make sure you're all set for the busy day that we have in store for everybody. And then, as I said, for any questions that you have, please feel free to drop them into the questions question tab on the dashboard there. We'll either cover that at the end or Magdalena will respond during the broadcast. So GEM 2020. For a third of you, apparently, this is your first GEM, so welcome. And then for the rest of you, welcome back. It's a very peculiar year this year, as we well know, and not much point in going into that today. We're ready to deliver quite an exciting GEM this year. It seems about 50-50 of you have already done an online event or not. But what we've really tried to do in delivering these B2B workshops, it should be what you're completely used to with us, just online. So we haven't added any extras. It's really just focused on the meetings that we typically provide. The information on screen now kind of demonstrate that as well. So it's probably the only way, business as usual this year. So we have a broad spectrum of suppliers ready for you. So you'll have seen that the appointment system has launched today. You may have already been on there. I think we've already had 70 of you submit your requests. So this just gives you an overview of the businesses attending on the supplier and the buyer side and the breakdown of business there. So, I mean, that may have changed definitely year on year for this edition, but we still have suppliers from all of the European countries, 52 European countries represented either as a destination service or supplier business generally. And then we've got 45 international source markets represented. So, I mean, the real benefit that we can take from this year is who we have to offer at the event, because none of you have to travel, and because of the technology that we're using, we really can get a wide spread of buyers attending. So a lot of people will be logging in the afternoon in Asia, and then first thing in the morning in North America to join the event. So, I mean, that's something positive that we can take away from this year for this year's edition. So things will have changed a bit in terms of the usual schedule of the day. We'll be running now from 8 till 6 GMT. We're offering 45 meeting slots this year. So that's expanded. So yet another positive that we can make of this situation. So, I mean, from our previous experience, having delivered a few of our other online events, we've included more breaks because it can actually be more tiring, strangely enough, even though there's no travel or movement around the room. It's quite an intense way of doing the meetings. So don't worry, there are lots of breaks scheduled throughout the day because 45-minute meetings in the day is quite something. But more importantly, I mean, we're running this on GMT, but as I said, people are joining from all across the world. So when you receive your appointments, they will be displayed in GMT. Please make sure to do the calculations as to where you'll be on the day itself. So as always, it would be good. Hopefully we'll cover the testing in a minute and you'll be able to log on in full confidence that you're good to go on your computer. But yeah, if you just log in half an hour ahead, The appointments will then start in the UK at 8 o'clock in the morning. In Central Europe, an hour ahead of that, 9. In China, you'll already be in late afternoon if you're dialing in from Asia, and then an early morning start from the guys in North America. So we'll repeat this a number of times on the communications you get from us, but it's quite important that you make your own calculations as to when to join. They'll be displayed in GMT. Another interesting aspect of the day, we'll have a session over lunchtime with our research team. David Edwards and Rachel Reed will be providing an industry insight session, which should be a good addition to the day. So just, I guess, as a reminder for people who've been with us before and instructions for new delegates, as of today, we've launched the appointment system, so please make sure to log on there and follow the instructions there. We've expanded the day to 45 minutes, and likewise, you'll actually have more choices as well. So the thing that you need to do by the 20th, so that's a week tomorrow, is submit your preferences, and I'll do a little demo of what that looks like in a moment, as well as submitting your preferences, which is fundamental to how these workshops work. Because this is quite a long day, we've already taken into account those of you who are joining from the Far East or from North America, but if any of you have specific timings you need us to block off, it'd be really important that you let us know by Tuesday the 20th, just so that we can block those times before we start the matching process. Otherwise, we have to unpick it once we've settled in. So if you could just let us know if you need a specific time blocked off on your schedule. The email that you'll have received the appointments invitation to today is the one to contact, support@celestina.org, I think. So once we've received your preferences on the 20th, we will prepare your appointments, and these will be delivered to you in order to prepare for the day on Monday the 26th of October, so that's just the Monday before the event. And then, as I'll show you on the day of the event itself, you won't have to travel to London this year. You'll simply have to log on to the platform, with slightly different link for that platform. So make sure you don't go back to the preference area. There'll be a new link that we send you. You log on the morning of the 30th, and our system will just take you from one meeting to the next. You won't have to do anything beyond logging in for that first session in the morning. It will take you from there. So, as I said, the appointments launched today. This is, as I said, fundamental to how the day works. The preferences of buyers and suppliers are all taken into account. Not only who you pick, but the order in which you place them. It's very important that you put your really top preferences at the top, because we start at the top of all your lists and then work down in order of preference. So I'll demonstrate that in a minute, but it's really important that to really find the people that you're looking for, if you're a supplier or a buyer, is to use the filters on the system, so you can really work out who it is that you're looking for. So you may know the colleagues you have in mind, but on the platform you're just purely dealing on a company basis in the first instance. So the deadline to do that is the 20th. Because of the particular nature of this year, I would say if you submit your preferences today, make sure to check back maybe Friday or on Monday, just to see if there's any newcomers on the list, because the way things have been going in terms of the recruitment campaign for this year's event, there may be some latecomers who've just managed to get some budget or availability to attend this event. So I would urge you to submit your first flush of preferences as soon as you can, early part of this week, but then maybe visit us or make a note to kind of drop in again on Friday or Monday, just to see if there's any tweaks that you want to make, given any changes in the lineup. And again, if you could let us know by Tuesday or sooner, if you need us to block any timings between 8 and 6 on the 30th of October, that would be extremely helpful. So I'm just going to take you you should have received an email like this today with your link and your confirmation number. That's what you need to go and access the appointment system. So if you just bear with me, I will take you into there and just do a demonstration of kind of the important things that you need to take into account. So this will take you to Celestina, which is the appointment matching system, and then you use your confirmation number to access that platform. These things haven't changed for this event if you're a returning delegate with us. Lots of instructions here, so sometimes you might need to refer back to these, but the important and active bit are your lists here. So at the moment, I am logged in as a tour operator, so I can see suppliers. So don't be worried if you can't find yourself. You won't, because we kind of run these events on a completely binary basis. So if you're in, then you're present on the system. People will be able to find you, but you can't find yourself, because for operators, we want you to find suppliers and the other way around, depending on your model. So this is the list of all of the suppliers as uploaded into the system today. You can see the information here about the company if you're unfamiliar with who they are. There's a description and a website. So if you click down the list, if you click view, you can see the details there. But if you want to be a bit more scientific about this, you can start using the filters. So it's quite important to use these in quite a smart way. And sometimes the wording may trip you up in terms of how this works. So I think the first one is quite straightforward. You'll be looking for people who represent a particular company type. They could be DMCs, accommodation providers, visitor attractions, and you can apply those filters, and that will update the page, and you'll only see the people that correspond to those filters. You can combine those as well, or just use which countries you're looking for and apply them like that. Quite an interesting one, though, is for you to seek out people who are looking for businesses like you, like the one that you represent. So the categories of your type. So as I said, I'm logged in as an operator now. I can find, by using these filters, those who are looking for businesses such as myself. So if I'm, for instance, an FIT operator, I can apply the filter and it will display all the supplier types who are looking for FIT operators. Refresh the list and it will update the list that way. Also, the source market that you represent as well. So if you're representing a particular market rather than a worldwide, the whole list is available on here. I don't think you can see the drop down here, but once you do that on your computer, you'll be able to do that. If you click that, you'll be able to find the suppliers, or if you're from the other side, the operators who are kind of looking for your destination and or source market. So that way you kind of really start finding the people who are already seeking you out in the first instance. That will definitely come out in the wash anyway once the matching is done, because if you're people's top choices, you'll be assigned those meetings anyway. So once you've kind of started looking down the list, if you're ready to commit to having one of those meetings, then you add them to the list and they pop over on the right-hand side. So I'll just build up a sample of random people on here. Remember, one of the most important things here, and it might be a bit more difficult now that there's 20, is to start ranking those. So you want to put those in the order of preference, one being the people you want to meet the most, down to your 20th choice, not so much. So then in combination, the meetings between the buyers and suppliers should build up a very busy schedule for the day itself. So if you have any questions about that, please do pop them into the chat or the question box and we can start answering them. One thing that's quite important with this is to make sure you press submit. You'll receive a receipt then in your email, but until the 20th, you can return back onto this platform as many times. So as I said, we'd urge you to do that as soon as possible, just so we don't start panicking that we're going to have to start chasing everybody. But then if you return back on Friday or Monday, just to check in, just to see if there have been any changes, that will be super helpful. The instructions are here, but we're on hand. If you have any questions, please do email us. So if I just go back to my presentation. Let us know if you haven't received an email like that. It's in black because that's the kind of the view I do, but it will just be a normal email in your inbox. I think about 90 minutes ago. So, as I said, obviously you're not going to be coming to London for this event. We'll be doing this online. The platform that we're using is an extension to the Celestina platform that we've been developing over the years. As I said, it's been very important to us to make sure that we're really focused on the meeting still and that there's continuity in the experience of these networking events. So once we've provided your final appointments, you'll be sent a new list probably the day before the event, a new link rather the day before the event, and you'll log back into the slightly different platform, which is the video meeting platform. So you'll put in your confirmation code, and there'll be a very brief homepage just providing a link to the directory, to the instructions. The top right-hand corner of the platform provides a live chat. So there'll be a team of us there the whole week, the whole day, responding to any technical or appointment-related information or questions that you have. Will be live all day responding to those. So we're not leaving in the lurch. There'll be a team the whole day driving this and supporting the event. Once you're there, and the time it clicks over to maybe 1:45 the hour, depending on your time zone. You'll go onto the main page of the site, which on the left-hand side will replicate something that will look familiar in terms of your appointment schedule. So this is your final schedule. You don't have to do anything on this. It will just click you through your meetings one-to-one, and the panel on the right-hand side will log you in and connect you with your meetings automatically. So you don't have to use any other platform. It will just follow your schedule and connect you to your counterpart to the schedule. So once this is happening, you can actually click on to the upcoming meeting, and it will tell you a bit more information about who they are and what they're looking for. So actually, this is a really neat addition to the experience that you'd have in the room when you're kind of scrambling for your papers to remind you who you're about to meet with. Here, your eyes only have to dart left, and you can just see exactly what they're looking for and respond accordingly. So they'll have 10 minutes for the meetings. Please keep an eye on the clocks at the top. There'll be a countdown per meeting. That will also turn red and start flashing as the meeting comes to a close. So we've done all we can to make sure that that's a visible aspect of this platform, but time can go quite quickly. So make sure to keep an eye on that, especially if you've gone into full screen mode. It might not be as obvious, but you will be cut off. There's no kind of grace period there. From one meeting to the next, you just get connected automatically between those meetings. If you are in a break or if you're between meetings, we'll have a core channel which will have a live feed from the ETOA offices. We'll provide any live updates that are needed. As I said, at lunchtime, we're going to have an insight session as well, and there may be some other interesting content throughout the day. So when you're on a break, we don't demand your attention, but there'll be some nice things there to accompany the day as well. But I imagine, given the ratio of operators and suppliers that we have lined up, everyone's going to be pretty busy, which I think is an important thing, particularly in this year. So this is what it will look like. We'll provide the instructions. Quite an important thing, which I'll go on to the next one, we'll be doing developments each time. We've done a number of these now. In the handout section, you'll see there's a download for this link, and it was provided in the information provided in today's email. We really would urge you just to test your system ahead of the day, just in case there are any firewall issues or system things that you need to be aware of beforehand. Of course, make sure to test the computer that you'll be using on the day of the event itself. It doesn't make much sense to test any other computers that you'll be using. We recommend Chrome. That's the optimal platform to use for that, but on the day, there's no downloads required. It's a browser-based online event. So you'll just be provided the link, and yeah, we urge you to use Chrome as it's optimized in there. Also a laptop. We've had a few people who will try and join on the phone. Technically it is doable, but because we have the video and the agenda side by side, it really doesn't necessarily work properly for a good experience. And I think for a 45 meeting day, potentially, I think you probably want to have a more comfortable setup. So as I said, get in touch if you've got any questions about how it works, but we've tried to keep it as simple as possible. And once you've logged in, you should just be directed from one meeting to the next in line with the agenda. So I think Magdalena has answered a few questions already on the link, but I mean, that's my quick roundup of GEM 2020. So if you do have any other questions, please let us know. As I said, if you have any questions between now and then, we'll see you on the 30th, but support@celestina.org is the email address you need to use if you have any questions. Of course, we also thank the sponsors who you'll no doubt see on the day itself in one way or another. Our friends at Big Bus Tours, Switzerland Tourism, Tourism Ireland, and Visit Britain. So that's my very brief presentation for everybody. As I said, please use this moment now to pop any questions. There are no silly questions. We all want a very smooth day on the 30th, so submit any technical or delegate-related questions now. I'll stay on the line for a few minutes if you want to drop those in. No questions. Okay, so we have a question about backgrounds. That's not built into the system just yet, inbuilt, just purely to save bandwidth. But it is possible, there's certain plugins you can get on the user end, so on your computer, that will allow you to set that as your camera. So then that's the feed that you send through. So it's not built in purely, as I said, to save the bandwidth, because we don't want any kind of technical drop-offs or anything, but it is possible to broadcast with a particular filter. So if you just Google virtual backgrounds, there are a few programs you can download locally on your computer to do that. If you miss an appointment, and actually directly after, so that's another thing that I should have mentioned. As you go through your agenda, there'll be a mark that ticks them off as you go through, as you saw on the left-hand side to the video pane. Once your meeting is complete, then there's an email symbol that appears, and then directly from there, you can actually email people. So if unfortunately there is a technical mishap and you've managed to miss each other, you can actually email people directly. So at the moment, of course, we'll try and connect you as much as possible, but there is a button there to email people straight away if you've unfortunately missed each other on the meeting. Possibility to add meetings. As I said, at the moment, your agendas are likely to be pretty full. Ad hoc meetings in this round of development aren't possible, but as I said, you'll be quite busy. In the new year, events will be lined up as online events into the new year, the typical ETOA ones in January, February. We will be adding that development, but ad hoc ones won't be happening at GEM 2020. Liam, yes, Edge is compatible. That's fine. I would just test. They're equally as good. It's just it was built with Chrome in mind. So just use those links to test your system. Sometimes it's not really the browser that's an issue. It's the corporate firewalls and the like that can block things up. The email addresses of the people that you meet with appear on the left-hand side. They only appear after you've had the meeting, so we want to prevent any naughty behavior of people emailing ahead that they want to cancel, etc. There will also be an online directory. And actually something that is probably not as used as it could be is actually if you return after the event to the appointment matching system, the place where you'll be accessing from today, hopefully, to submit your request. If you actually go into that system after the event itself, you can actually do all of your follow-ups from that system directly. So it's quite a nice additional function on there. We will be keeping track of no-shows. We've got reporting back on the back end of the system. So if we have vision that somebody has not turned up or tuned in when we expect them to, as usual, we'll be on the phone to them straight away and marking them accordingly if unfortunately they can't make the day itself. but we'll be chasing them down and then trying to connect people as much as possible. Phil asks about secondary delegates. We can add secondary delegates. Please get in touch with support to add those on, or indeed to Magdalena or Karen. But I urge you not to share the unique code that you've been given, because then the system will think that you're the same person, and it will confuse kind of bilateral meeting setup that we've got. So if you want to have a secondary delegate, please contact either support or Magdalena. Joao, yes, iPad you can, they're still not completely optimized, so I would really recommend that you do use a laptop rather than an iPad device or mobile. It's just a more solid platform on which to do that. So I'd recommend that you use a laptop if possible. We've had a question about sharing screens. That is a function. So when you're on the video pane during your meeting, on the left-hand side at the bottom is the share screen function. And from there, you can select which window you want to share. Then, of course, it probably makes sense to go to full screen mode. I would highlight, though, that you've got only 10 minutes, so I would say not to rely too much on the presentations as you go through the meeting. Of course, use that as the content for your follow-up, but during the meeting itself, it might make more sense to make that more one-to-one connection in conversation rather than rely too much on the presentation. And also it's less obvious if you're sharing the screen when the countdown comes. So if you are doing presentations on a shared screen basis, then please do keep an eye on the clock for yourself. Another question about your choices. So as I said, please go onto the appointment system now. Buyers and suppliers have equal opportunity to select and rank the top 20 people that they would like to meet. So unlike maybe some other events, it's not beneficial for one side or the other. Please go onto the platform today to make your appointment selections. And they will close on next week on Tuesday. About recording of meetings, we thought about this quite carefully, but we didn't want to, you can record them locally on your computer. We don't build that into the platform itself, just because of whatever's discussed. It's probably best that's kept between the people having the meeting rather than available directly or indirectly by anybody else. So you can record screen as a plugin to Chrome, but there's no built-in function to record the meetings. Robin, I'm not sure. I didn't see any other questions about an audio issue. As I said, there's a recording of this going back out once we're done, so check in on there. I'm sorry if I did cut out. I didn't see any other comments on there about doing so, but we'll be sending a recording out within a few hours once it's processed. Okay, I think that was quite a good solid amount of questions, and I think it's covered quite a lot. Again, I'll stay here a few more minutes if you have any other questions. Thank you, everybody. So the email address you need for any questions is support@celestina.org. That's where you need to go if you have any questions. Yes, you should have received your invitation to join the appointment system. I will take your name and make sure that someone follows up with you just to make sure that you've received it. So as I said, about 90 minutes, 2 hours ago, we sent everybody the invitation to join the appointment system and submit your questions. Select your preferences. If you haven't received that, please get in touch and we will follow up with you. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much. And if I don't see you before, I will see you on the 30th. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.